Welcome to the Build with Boundaries podcast. My name is Mahnaz, and this podcast is for mums who want to carve out time so that you can work in ways that work for you, your life, your family, and of course your business. Together, we will discover why you are not prioritising your business and the actions that you can take so you can live an intentional, productive, and fulfilled life without mum guilt. So let's dive in to today's episode.
Welcome everyone to another podcast episode on Build with Boundaries. I am today joined with Sarah Evans, who is the values expert, and we are going to discuss my human design today, and we're going to share with you how it connects with my core values. So first, I'd love to welcome you here, Sarah. For those who don't know me, my name's Mahnaz and my business is Build with Boundaries. I help to boost efficiency for mums who are feeling that juggle in their life between business and family life, and to help them to manage their work and life so much better with so much more ease and flow. So thank you for being here, Sarah. You are the values expert. Please tell the viewers what you do, and then we'll get straight into the conversation.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be back here again. And I like being called the values expert. That's a good name. So my business is the Values Connection, and I use core values to help coach and train people around knowing who they are, finding their purpose, and then creating a strategy and practical ways of using them to get you through difficulties in leadership in life, basically.
Yeah, fantastic. And we've done so much conversations we've already had on Build with Boundaries podcast with regards to values and how they can be incredibly powerful. So this is another series that we are looking specifically at the human design of a person, their chart, and then we are going to connect it back with the values that they know are their core values. So today I am on the table as if it were, and what I want to start with is human design, for those who might not know, is based on astrology, and it's based on ancient and modern systems. So you've got ancient chakra systems, the Kabbalah, I Ching, astrology, both ancient and modern, and quantum physics. So there's so many elements that come together, and the whole idea is that when we are born into this world, we all come with a design and with something very specific, and this can be shown through in a chart that you can create, which is telling us where our strengths are, telling us what is inherently easier for us to do, and it's obviously that, therefore it's our strength. And it's also what makes us different. So human design has been called the science of differentiation, and it tells us how we are different. Now, what I found when I discovered mine, I would love to share just sort of a couple of things that were so helpful from the very beginning. So firstly, you get two numbers, and these numbers, then there's more sort of detail in terms of what they mean. And I am a 5-1. And what that means is that I am a problem solver and a knowledge seeker, if you like. And it's a combination of these, which is definitely true. And I, resonate with that. But what was really insightful for me was that the number one is this insatiable desire to learn and to seek knowledge and to absorb information and digest information. And up to a certain point, many, many years ago now, when I was already in this business journey, I had this desire to keep on learning and, find that there's something missing. I need to learn more. I need to look at this. I need to listen to this or watch this and whatever. As we all do, and we can fall into that trap quite easily as business owners. But what I found was when I realized that this was actually part of my design, it helped me to see that the reason I was seeking knowledge, rather than it being I am not good enough, it was more of I need information to help me feel safe, to inspire me, and to really give me these pieces of information that I have absorbed. They come back out as they need in the future, if that makes sense. So it's not about I'm not good enough. And I actually managed to switch that. So now when I do have like free play, if you like, in terms of what would I like to absorb or learn. And human design has actually been one of those experiments for me, because it's something that I've done in my own time outside my business, because I just wanted to learn about it. And that's why I'm doing this piece of work with client too, because I found all of that time learning about myself has helped me, and I know it definitely can for others, and I'm seeing that as well. And what's really interesting is that the shadow, which is like the kind of downside if you have these positive and negative sides of a line 5, is that they have no boundaries. And how relevant. My business is called Build with Boundaries, right? And thinking back, it makes complete sense, because there was a time when I had no boundaries, and I had to work really, really hard over a number of years to actually create the boundaries that I wanted. So the fact that this is in my design, now me looking back, at that point my business wasn't built with boundaries. So, it wasn't really obvious until I've looked at it again. So I thought I would mention that. And another thing, the last thing I'll mention is that I have what's called an undefined solar plexus. So the solar plexus is not a place where I have consistent energy. And because it's white on my chart, that means it's undefined. What that means is that I amplify energy around me. And what I've found quite clearly I'm seeing in my day-to-day, and it's still work in progress for me, is I can feel very overwhelmed by emotional energy around me. Like all of a sudden, I'm not understanding why, because it just suddenly is just like, whoa, what's happening here? And I do not have that chance to, it doesn't slowly build up, if you like. It's just almost boom, it's there. And that, recognizing that, I'm still working through that, just like all these pieces are. They're all things for us to keep on and continue working with. But again, it's just having that, noticing those things has been helpful. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how helpful it can be even to look at human design from an initial high level point of view. So I think what we're going to do next is I'm going to share what my core values are. And they are efficiency, purpose, empowerment, and impact. And Sarah and I have both looked at some specific parts of my chart, and we're going to discuss how we see these coming through in the chart. So I will start with how I see efficiency coming through, and then I would love to hear from Sarah, because she's had a look at the same summary, and being able to see what she's seeing as a values expert. And because she's helped me to see what my values are, she hasn't seen my design, and just piecing them together, I think it's really, really interesting and powerful. So for me, efficiency comes through in lots of different parts of my chart, and I feel like it is overall, there is this theme. And just in the fact that I mentioned I'm a 5/1, there's this I think having this natural curiosity for that information, and to understand complex things, like that, how my mind works. And I think there is some connection there with efficiency, because you have to really analyze things to a deep level, right? Before you can start seeing things in a different way. And then there's quite a few channels that are coming through. So do you want to give your brief, even on the general part of my chart, Sarah, how you see the values coming through? Maybe we could start there, because you haven't seen this in this much detail before. So it'd be really interesting to see what you are seeing.
Yeah, I think what's interesting as well, first of all, just to go back a little bit to what you said around the boundaries idea, and we're both one, aren't we? That, and we investigate. We want to learn, and it is insatiable. And actually, knowing that that's part of your human design is quite freeing, because you don't turn it into something negative, that you're not satisfied with things or whatever.
Yeah.
It's something purposeful, because you have this drive to learn, but also you have the drive to help other people. And I read somewhere recently about so entrepreneurs, that people build the business that they need. So it's interesting to talk about boundaries. It's kind of using that.
Exactly.
It's the same for me in terms of, using values and using them to feel better and deal with things in life, using that
exactly
tool and helping other people to do the same. So I just thought that was quite interesting.
We go back to when we were at a certain point in time, and that is exactly what we would have needed. And I think both of us, our stories can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, in general, like, again, looking at your core values, efficiency, purpose, empowerment, and impact, the purpose, empowerment, and impact are very kind of intertwined, aren't they? So they're quite similar and yet distinct as well. And it's interesting, your type on human design is a generator. So, you're a builder, you're a doer, you're a creator. So that sense of purpose, I think's really strong in everything that you do. Also interesting things like, you respond to what excites you. So you're kind of, again, I think that links to purpose. It's got to have a purpose, as well as, things have to have meaning for you to feel excited by it. And that you expend your energy on activities that truly resonate with you. So again, it's that whole sense of, it's got to mean something to you. It has to have a purpose. And that then gives you purpose to do the work, do whatever's needed. I think that's quite interesting. And in the profile type, I was quite surprised in a way, because you're so very kind of calm and you come across very kind of organized. That idea of rebellion in your profile type, I found really interesting. The kind of, because I don't think I would see you as a rebel, but actually, when you drill down and look at how you work and what you do, you are very driven. You're very driven to create, purpose, to create impact, to create empowerment for other people as well as yourself. And I think that it's almost like no matter what people may say, but, you're clear on your direction. So that, I think that's where that kind of comes through.
I think we share the gate 54 as gate of ambition as our sun gate as well, Sarah. So we both resonate with that. So isn't it interesting we can have such similarities and yet such differences at the same time? And that gate 54, gate of ambition, is this whole, like, this desire, this constant desire to achieve, to be, to do, and to have and create whatever that is, and which is obviously coming through in our values as well.
Which can also be a bit uncomfortable sometimes. I mean, I think it would be nice to be able to switch it off. Personally, I think sometimes, but actually you can't. And that again goes back to, it's your human design, it's who you are, So actually so then learning to live with that and accept it and manage it is the positive thing. But yeah, the values in terms of your channel. Do you want to just describe what the channels are?
Yeah, sure. So as you can see on my chart, I will put this on the screen as well. There's the huge area on the bottom left of the chart that is completely coloured in, as in the lines that connect the shapes. These are called the channels. And I have this whole side almost of that chart that is completely filled in. I mean, that the root is the very bottom center at the base, and the root is a pressure center to actually do the thing. And this this just reflects exactly how I operate and I work, because there's this constant pressure internally to do the thing. And, I don't let myself off the hook, if you like. It is an internal drive. And each of these channels have obviously slightly different nuances. So I'll just go through maybe a couple at a time, and then we can talk through them. So there's the channel of structuring, which is 2343 for anyone interested. This is the ability to structure and express your insights in ways that can change and influence how people see and think. For me, I connect that with the whole like efficiency and impact, because I feel that when, you want to have that structure is needed for the efficiency, right? We need to be very, very clear on what is it and how is it. And I am very focused on looking at things in that way. And that definitely feeds into the efficiency and then the impact. I mean, you could say it was, yes, of course, it's purpose and it's empowerment too, right? Because you said, they're correlated, but that's what I'm seeing in that one. Maybe we'll take one at a time so you can share your thinking, Sarah, for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I agree, and I think it's really interesting that the root, like the kind of the fullness of that, the root and all those channels around that area, just speaks volumes to me, and it makes me laugh because mine's empty. Mine kind of what my root, which I'm a much more kind of emotionally driven person, and don't the efficiency, the kind of doing the hard work and getting to the end, to get to the end is the bit that I find hardest,
Yes.
So it's interesting that you can really see that, and your value of efficiency, it's kind of in everything that you do and in the business and the help that you provide to others, but not efficiency for efficiency's sake, that it is connected to impact, that it has to work, it has to have benefit, it has to there for a reason, which again tied to the purpose.
Yeah,
they're all really connected.
Yeah. And next is the channel of struggle. So 2838, for anyone looking at their chart. The ability to take risks and endure struggles that bring you meaning and purpose in life. I mean, this is purpose, right? This is purpose. This is impact. This is the reason and the meaning of the doing. This is the motivation behind it. This is the pressure or like why am I doing this?
What I like in there is that it refers to a warrior spirit that's driven to stand up against the odds. And I think, for me, I see that as empowerment, the value of empowerment for yourself in doing what you want and need to do, but also very much in what you create for other people. You're very much, you're very supportive. You're very much about empowering and doing what you can and using your skills to help other people be better as well. So I think that, I can really see that.
Oh, totally. And I think also you touched on it before, like, doing, you talked about, I think, as a rebel, and because I think like innovation and when we want to make change, for me, that's where it comes through in terms of my work. Because when you want to create change, you have to do things differently. You have to make change. And that's going against the odds. It's doing something different. It's doing something that people have not done before. They're not comfortable with. So it doesn't come easy. So it's like doing it, in an abnormal way, if you like, because it isn't normal for the people who either I'm helping or internally having to do that work myself. So I see that coming in there as well. And there's channel of judgment is next. So that's 1858. The ability to judge and notice when what needs correction. So this was quite powerful. Again, that one little sentence just explains it, because, it is that constant searching for what needs fixed. And the problem solver, it's all these things are coming in, and obviously that's the basis of efficiency again.
Absolutely. And having that, that critical eye. But it's not, again, it's looking at how it can be improved for the future. So, It's all about that purpose and empowerment again, and changing things for better impacts.
Yes. And as a generator, obviously, if you're a generator, you will know this. And if not, then, generators are here to create that positive change. They have to be the doers and the builders in order for humanity to flourish. So, that kind of the big high level picture there. Next, channel of rhythm. And this is 515. So this is the ability to attune to your internal rhythm and flow in life. And I think this is really true, because I need to have a rhythm. I need to have a structure. I need to have a cycle, a way of doing things, a process that kind of feeds into all the work and efficiency and process and, purpose and impact. Because then, if you have a cycle, a way of doing, a rhythm, that is obviously going to be much more impactful, because there's no wastage there, right? Because it's like, you do this, then it's this, then it's this. That's the way I'm seeing that here.
So, yeah, I can see that in I think efficiency really connected to this, particularly with me. And it talks about, knowing when it's time, put in the work, and when to put your feet up and relax. I think you're very good at kind of creating those boundaries, those structures to say, okay, I don't work on this day. I need to do this by this time. I need to do this by then, so that I then can do something else, and I think a lot of people, including myself, have really, wish that we had a bit more of that, in ourselves, which is what you then give to your client.
Right.
You're helping
yes,
that.
I can see that. Yeah, totally. And I think you'll like the next one then. The channel of maturation, which is 5342. This is the ability to start, not only about starting things, but also bringing things to completion. Because I've got that inner, if I start something, I have the energy and I have to get it to completion. There's just this internal force, as if it were. And that gives opportunities to mature through experience. You're always learning and gathering wisdom in each chapter of your life, and begin new chapters of building off of what you've previously learned, which is this whole, again, cycle and rhythmic and evolution and adaptation, which is very much needed in efficiency, right? Because, once you do something, it doesn't stay like that forever, because you might need to go back and change it. And I think that whole learning and putting it all together is definitely giving me some insight, just even going through this with you, Sarah.
Yeah, but I think as well, the idea of being really pushed to complete things, which again, a lot of people want that end result, but they won't go through that process or that cycle that it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that connects with your, the core value of impact for you, that you have to complete it, because you have to have that you have to create impact. Otherwise it goes against.
It's wasted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then for me, internally, it becomes it's a waste of time, effort, energy, all these things, which does not speak to me. And if in fact I'm doing anything to avoid all of those things, which means therefore I must complete. The next one, channel of transformation. I told you I had quite a few, Sarah, so we've got 2 more left. Channel 5432 is the channel of transformation, the ability to succeed through awareness, drive, and ambition. You willingly work harder than anyone else to make your ambitions a reality, as you seek to be recognized for your skills and talent. And again, this is that whole, this ambition, the gate, this is gate 54, which is my thumb gate, which is the main key part of my energy, and yours too, Sarah. So, we'll both definitely understand this, but have different slants on what that means for us. So for me, that is the purpose, and it's the impact. It's, why are we here and what am I here to do? And it has to be getting to that, again, it's that completion and getting to the end, actually making it worth it.
Yeah. And that's where it's really interesting, because core values, and one of my core values is purpose as well.
I think that must be where it comes from then. The gate certainly
Yeah.
this Gate 54 that we share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the sense of it having purpose, as in purpose, you need to know why you're doing something, and you've got a drive to do it, but also that things have to have meaning, that, there has, which is then linked to your impact. For me, my, thinking like my own core values, one of mine is growth. And I think that's where achievement comes in for me.
Right.
And
it's like the result is growth for you and the result is maybe impact for me. Yeah.
But, again, they're very nuanced, but that's why it's so personal, isn't it? You can see that. And not ambition, because I think sometimes ambition can be seen as quite a negative, or it's a bit of a pejorative term, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that I see ambition is being prosperous, in the way that whatever success looks like to you. So that ambition is that inner drive for what you're wanting and achieving that. Not necessarily about money. It's not necessarily about material things. That feeling of feeling like you're accomplished, right? Last but not least, we're on the channel of preservation, which is 2750. The ability to care and nurture those around you. So this has a lot of fairness and rules. You're someone whose aura is trustworthy by nature, and people come to you for support and nurturing. Again, this is like that whole impact piece. It's empowerment, allowing others to feel that they can manage. Obviously, my aim in the work that I do is to give people the tools and insights they need so they can manage their work and life better. They can make better decisions and they can feel more confident about all the things that are going on in their life and how they go about kind of mindset and, all the things, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in our lives as mums and business owners. And that's the way I see that, definitely very strong in the empowerment and impact.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it's that empowerment again, which is kind of see it as kind of all embracing with you, that it's for yourself and your business and your family, but it's also very much about empowering other people to do what they want and get what they need. Wow.
Goodness, this has been so interesting to dive into this. And I hope it's been helpful to listen and look at my chart and just see us talk through these different aspects. And it goes to show that just looking, this is only a half an hour podcast episode as well, and there's so much more we could talk about. So what I would love for you to do is, if this sounds interesting, Sarah and I do more work deeper in the sense of, actually figuring out what your core values are, actually working out what your design is, because there's so many layers in both of these. And until we don't see them and recognize them, we kind of can't put ourselves out on the table and really look and accept and notice everything that's going on. And ultimately, knowing ourselves better just means that we can handle situations better. We can react and make choices in how we react in a different way. So if you'd like to go a bit deeper, then do go and check out our 3-part podcast series, Values Meets Boundaries, which you'll find on buildwithboundaries.com/values. I'll pop the link in the description and the show notes, so you could just click through and have a look, and we go through different aspects of values, going a little bit deeper in why, values are important, and that will hopefully give you another perspective and another slant on this. And I look forward to doing many more of these with you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for looking at my chart and dissecting it and sharing your perspective here.
That's great. It's really interesting.